Hey everyone, Jennifer Shlomovich here. Being vegan in a non-vegan household certainly can have its challenges, and with a little planning, it actually doesn't have to be so bad. Today, I wanted to share with you my vegan story, as well as some tips for how you can be vegan in a non-vegan household. My vegan journey started out for health reasons. It was around 2014 when I really started to notice the impact dairy was having on my body. I didn't feel so good after consuming dairy products. I was having sinus issues and I had rosacea, still have rosacea, but I have it under control, mostly through diet. And I noticed that dairy was triggering a major flare up for me. And so I decided to experiment and I took a break from having dairy products. And so for a month, I eliminated dairy and I noticed a huge difference in just my overall feeling of well being. My sinuses were doing better, my skin was clearing up, and I just felt better. And then I went back to having some dairy and I felt it immediately at just how I didn't like how it made me feel. My skin started to feel itchy. I noticed how it was, not to be gross, but it was just making me feel phlegmy. And I was like, you know what? I don't think my body likes dairy anymore. I don't think I can have this anymore. And so I wanted to get back to feeling good again. And I started to go to Pinterest for some inspiration on how to make more things without using dairy. So when I was looking up when I was looking up dairy-free recipes on Pinterest, I was getting a lot of vegan recipes in my search. And I saw this assortment of different things to make using various creative concoctions of vegetables and fruits and herbs and spices. And I really wanted to, try these things out more. It made me realize um, just how many delicious things were out there that weren't using animal products. I also wanted to develop better eating habits because my parents both had diabetes and heart disease. My mom died from a heart attack in 2007. And that was a big eye opener for me on being more mindful and taking care of myself. And food was one of the hardest areas for me to adjust because I like delicious food and can also lean on it for stress. And I wanted to make changes that would benefit my body better. And when I was exploring all these different recipes on Pinterest, I noticed that there was a lot of vegan recipes out there that were healthier and flavorful. And I love making delicious food and not feeling deprived. And what I found was a world of food that I could make that was better for me while still making my taste buds feel happy. And so this was like another layer of me exploring veganism and finding all these different recipes that were healthier and more flavorful than the food that I was making that wasn't vegan. And so it was a very eye-opening experience just seeing what else was out there. And then the other layer to this was the impact on animals and the environment. I, as I started reading more recipes, I started looking up veganism in general. And, I knew in the back of my mind where animal products came from and, chicken and beef and dairy and all that stuff. But I didn't think too much about it. I think like most of us, because we were raised mostly on animal products. It's the mainstream society way of eating. And so it really started making me think more about where my food was coming from. The first documentary that I watched was called Vegucated. It was on Netflix at the time. It might still be there. But yeah, I watched this documentary called Vegucated, and it was about a group of people who were taught how to eat vegan and try veganism for 6 weeks. It was an experiment. And during this experiment, they showed more in depth about how animals are treated and slaughtered, as well as what goes on in the egg industry and the dairy industry. And that was a little cringy to watch. Any of these types of documentaries are cringy, but it was eye-opening for me in realizing, I didn't want to contribute to the way animals were being mistreated. So then that led me to the next big dilemma of, okay, I would like to be vegan, but my family's not going to want to be vegan. How could I possibly do this? And what are people going to say to me about this change? How are people going to judge me? How are people going to react to me when I go to their house or I go out to eat? And all these different questions started swirling around in my mind. And I was kind of like, I can't be vegan because of how other people are going to see me. And so it made me realize this was like an area of people pleasing that I still had to work on, but I wasn't quite ready to challenge the status quo. And so deep down, I had this secret wish of, I want to be a vegan. And so what I did in the meantime was, while I had all of this kind of like circling around in the back of my mind, I started just making vegan recipes when I could. I bought a vegan cookbook. My first vegan cookbook was this one right here. It's the Oh She Glows cookbook, over 100 vegan recipes to glow from the inside out, by Angela Liddon. Um, she's great. I was following her on her website. She was one of the early vegan recipe creators that I started following. And when I saw that she put out this cookbook, I decided to buy it. And so I remember the first recipe I made in here was this delicious soup. It was this soup right here, the Eat Your Greens Detox Soup. And I made some baked chickpeas. Like, I made some crunchy chickpeas. She had a recipe in here for also, and I sprinkled them on like croutons, and it was really delicious. And I just started buying cookbooks and finding recipes online and making it without overhauling my whole family's diet. And then I was little by little was just eating less meat. I was noticing more of just how I felt when I ate meat versus how I felt when I didn't eat meat. And little by little, I was becoming more aware of the role food impacted my way of feeling. And so before changing how my family was eating, or trying to figure out what I could do, I was just making recipes, finding ways to swap out animal ingredients, and just experimenting and having fun. Exploring, experimenting, and having fun with it. And then I started also going to the website Forks Over Knives, and they have a lot of whole food, plant-based recipes. That's without eating any oil, and um, eliminating a lot of processed foods. And so I was using them as a guideline to eat more healthily. Like I mentioned before, having concerns about diabetes and heart disease, I wanted to focus on eating more healthy, and so I could get into these better habits. And just trying all these delicious recipes. I was finding all these great ways to eat healthy without feeling deprived. And more, I wanted to really fully embrace veganism. And so eventually I did. So finally, back in November of 2016, I reached a point where I was ready to take my desire for veganism to the next level. And I decided that I would continue to make non vegan food for my family, but I would only eat vegan food for myself. So I posted a message on Facebook because that makes everything official in our lives. And so I announced my desire to try out veganism. I had reached this place within myself where I was ready to face judgments from others and not care. It was also right before Thanksgiving, and we were going over to a friend's house, which I thought was a perfect time for me to experiment with life as a vegan. So I made this lentil loaf from the Oshi Glows cookbook that I just showed you. And I remember I made these chocolate cookies that were made using black beans. I was also trying to eliminate a lot of gluten out of my diet. I'm not completely gluten free, but I also notice how gluten, when I eat a lot of gluten, how it makes me feel. So I made these black bean cookies that were chocolate and fudgy, and certainly much more healthier than your standard chocolatey fudgy cookie. And I made the lentil loaf, and I made these black bean cookies, and I brought them over to our friend's house for Thanksgiving. And this way I was able to have delicious food, but also I shared with others. People were curious and they tried my food. And it actually went pretty well. And yes, people had their questions and their judgments, but I saw that I was okay. It wasn't the end of the world. And so I continued with being vegan for a few months, and then I slid back to, I guess, vegetarianism or pescatarianism. I went back to having fish. I was It was challenging eating out, and I decided and there was a part of me, I guess, that missed having fish and sushi out. So I was pescatarian for a few months, and then I noticed that I was starting to have an aversion to just even having fish. Just the thought of eating fish was starting to bother me and just gross me out, the concept of it. And so I remember it was April 29th, 2017, where I went to the full commitment of being vegan, and I haven't stepped back ever since. And it'll, it was certainly challenging. It's had its challenges, but over time it's gotten easier. In those early months of my vegan commitment, I felt challenged, especially when we went on our first vacation as me being a committed vegan. My husband was supportive of me, and we would go to places to eat that either were vegan or have vegan options. Sometimes it was a little more challenging than other times, but I embraced the process. I stayed committed. I reminded myself of my why. What really helped me stick to that commitment was I just no longer wanted to consume animal products. It was important for me to be respectful of animals, and that was that final piece that has helped me stick to being committed to a vegan lifestyle. It's been a process with clothing and other animal products. I do my best to purchase products that don't have any animal materials on it. I have been very conscious not to purchase leather. That's been a big thing that I've been working on eliminating out of my life, and not adding to supporting that. I wanted to share my journey with you all because I wanted to share a process of what changes can look like. And there's no one size fits all process for people to make a change. Making changes is a very personal experience, especially when you're changing your mindset to a vegan mindset. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that's very unique for everybody involved. And if you have a family and your family isn't going to want to be vegan with you, then it's how can you make it work for yourself while also supporting the needs of your family and figuring out what's right for you and then working from that. Yeah, so since becoming vegan, I've certainly faced an assortment of reactions from people, some supportive and some not so supportive. Not allowing the opinions and judgments of others get in the way of what I truly want for myself has been a liberating experience, which is why I've created this space to support vegans and aspiring vegans. And so I just want to let you know I'm here for you and you're not alone. I now want to share with you some tips that I have put together on how you can be a vegan in a non-vegan household. Tip number one is own who you are and stand in your power. This here can be a process if you are someone who struggles with people pleasing. As a recovering people pleaser myself, this was the biggest culprit in holding me back. Some questions you can consider asking yourself are, why are you vegan or want to become vegan? What challenges are you facing? What is holding you back? What actions can you take? How can you stand in your power? And what baby steps can you take? For me, in the beginning, it started with trying recipes and experimenting with replacing animal ingredients with non-animal ingredients. So just the smallest little steps that you can take can eventually lead to a big impact. Tip number two is communicate your needs. Let the people who are in your life know what your needs are. If someone can't respect your needs or a relationship is threatened because you are choosing to be vegan or want to make any other changes in your life that support you, then that speaks volumes about the relationship itself and has nothing to do with veganism or the other things you want to do for yourself. So I just want to emphasize that if people can't respect the things that are important to you, then that's an opportunity to assess that relationship and is this really a healthy relationship for you? So don't allow the opinions and judgments of other people to lead to you neglecting your needs. You have to do what's important for you and honor yourself. And if you don't, that can lead to resentment and just feeling unhappy because you're self-sacrificing to make other people happy. It's, as a recovering people pleaser, I still get challenged by overvaluing other people's happiness over my own. But as I've worked on this, I've been able to challenge that. And I've learned that if me showing up and being me, and of course being respectful to someone, but I'm respecting someone else and me just being me is leading to them being disrespectful, then that's where I'm going to set my boundaries and decide and evaluate how that relationship is going to play a role in my life. So yes, that's a very important thing to think about and consider with anything that you're working on changing and creating in your life. My third tip is preparation is key. Wherever I'm going, if I know I'll be eating there in advance, I will look up options on the Happy Cow app. It's free. It's a big lifesaver for vegans. And they list not only vegan restaurants, but non-vegan places that have vegan options. And people leave reviews on what their experiences was like there. So the Happy Cow app is really important in helping with that preparation process. Doing your research and planning accordingly. Also, a lot of restaurants can make modifications. Sometimes like a salad that has chicken on it or fish or cheese, I'll just, ask the server if I can make some modifications. And places are usually very accommodating. So yeah, I haven't had any issues. Sometimes I have looked in advance and I found restaurants that will say no substitutions on their menu. So then I know, okay, that's not a place then that I can go to because they're not going to make substitutions. So research is very helpful in before going out to eat. It just helps make things less challenging. Social gatherings can also be challenging. What I have done has communicate. If somebody already knows, a lot of my close family and friends know that I'm vegan, and they will either offer to make some stuff, but whether they do or they don't, I always offer to bring a main dish and a dessert. Um, the Oshi Glow's cookbook has the lentil loaf, which is good, that I've made for Thanksgiving, and other events. I've made it and brought it. But one of my favorite recipes in here is the Tex-Mex casserole that she has, and it's got black beans and spinach and rice and healthy things and spices, and it's got crunchy corn chips on top, and I will bring guacamole with it. And it's just got a little bit of vegan cheese on there. And everyone who's had it, who's been vegan or non-vegan, has loved it. And so, oh, my cat is trying to get out. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. My cat Minora always seems to want to wake up from her naps and leave my room where I'm recording when I'm recording. So I'm sure you're going to experience this a lot with me over time, me getting up to let my cat Minora out. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying about bringing a dish that can be pleasing for everybody. You know, the Tex-Mex casserole is a great crowd pleaser. And then I will also bring vegan dessert. I'll either purchase something out or I'll make something, and people enjoy it. It tastes like good food. They can't tell if it's vegan or non-vegan. It just, and I think at the end of the day, that's what people fear, is feeling deprived, and there's a lot of judgments and stigma about veganism. And by you showing up and bringing something delicious, it's a great way to show others that, hey, veganism can be fun and delicious. It's not this restrictive, miserable experience. And so it's a great opportunity to share with others how great veganism can be. The other thing that I want to add to preparation is key, is that because there's a lot of misconceptions out there about vegan food and being vegan, to be prepared for the questions and comments that you're going to get from others, because you're going to get them. I've gotten my share of them, but what's helped me is being prepared to answer those questions as best as I can. And if people still give you a hard time, you can just say, hey, this is what's best for me. And that's it. Nothing else. It doesn't have to be a debate. This is your choice. This is what's best for you. And that's okay. Other people don't have to be on board with it. As long as you're happy and doing what you need to do, that's really all that matters. So being as prepared as possible to know that you're going to, at times get questions and comments. And some people are just curious, and so they want to understand more about your lifestyle because it's very different from them. And so people will ask from a curious place, and then you're going to have people who are coming from a more judgmental place and who are going to want to challenge you. So just asking yourself how you want to respond in those situations and how you can be more prepared will just help you feel more grounded when those types of things happen. I am thinking about doing a video that dives deep more on the topic of how vegans can navigate the judgment they experience. So yeah, I hope to have that video out at some point, so stay tuned. And then the last tip that I'm going to offer here today is finding support. being different from the people around you can be a really lonely experience. So connecting with other vegans can be very uplifting. Most towns and cities have meetups, and there are also virtual ones. So if there's nothing happening locally, there's events and meetups that you can find virtually. And also just finding different content creators can also help you not feel alone. So finding different, I have various people on YouTube that I love to watch, and that also helps me feel connected in who I am and the things that I want when I start to feel stressed and lonely about being different. And also, I just want to let you know that I'm here to support you as well. So feel free to connect with me at TheConfidentVegan@gmail.com. I'll also leave that in the video notes below. And let me know if there is any way that I can support you on your journey. All right, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you found this video valuable. And let me know in the comments below what other tips you have for being a vegan in a non-vegan household, or just navigating challenges of being a vegan. I would love to learn from you. I feel like we can all learn from one another. And also let me know if there's any other content that you would like me to create. I want to create a supportive community here. So, and by you sharing with me how I can support you is a big help. So, all right, that's it for now. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.